So you need users, right? As many as you can get? Maybe you'll take installs from anywhere. You're running ads in a bunch of places and hoping for the best. Unfortunately, this spray and pray mentality is really going to damage your acquisition strategy. And in this week's episode, we're getting into how we can become scientific and attract users in a way that is both sustainable and profitable. Let's do it. So one of the problems that we see is companies are really willing to take users from anywhere, they'll take users from any acquisition source without really understanding its implications throughout the funnel and maybe understanding what the cost of acquiring those customers is versus the value they actually provide. Remember, this is a hugely competitive market. There are hundreds of thousands of apps out there. So this is going to naturally drive up and hike up the advertising costs. This is something Google and Facebook are particularly happy about, but how can you do it in a way that you're acquiring users in, you're going to be able to afford these users and build a sustainable business? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, are the channels that you can acquire new users from, various ad platforms that you may want to look at, and also the top line metrics that you need to track to make sure that you're doing it in a sustainable and profitable way. We're going to talk a little bit about attribution as well in terms of how you can track what channel did what in your business. So first of all, on channels, we have App Store optimization, which is really, really important. Research suggests that over 60% of app installs come from organic sources. People are on the App Store, they're searching for various apps, and that's how they're installing the majority. So you do need to make sure that your app is optimized, keywords, the titles, all of those things have been done. Now, ASO, or App Store Optimization, is actually out of the scope of today's video, but if you remember a few weeks back, we did a video just covering App Store Optimization, so I suggest as part of your acquisition strategy that you look at this ASO video. I'm going to post a link below this video that links straight to this one. Build a website as well for your app. So hold on, wait a minute, this is an app. Why are we building a website? So yes, building a website for your app can actually help in the discovery and help in user acquisition. So when I say build a website, it doesn't have to be, this crazy huge site. It could be just like a one-page website, mobile optimized, of course. And you want to kind of communicate the core value proposition of your app. You want to put some screenshots there that show your app at its absolute best. Don't forget as well, video can be very effective here. So they fire up the website. An intro video leads them through the app, the setup experience, the main utility, the main flow of that app, and communicates its value. That's a great way to improve conversions. You may also want to include download links for Google Play and also for the App Store. So when I'm here on a mobile device, I can link directly to the store to get that downloaded from the site. If you want to go all fancy, you can detect the mobile user agent, and then on the website you can flip around the assets. So if I'm an Android user, suddenly I see only an Android device and a link to the Google Play Store. If I'm an iOS user, I see the example on an iPhone and a link to the App Store. So again, we're just getting more granular with our targeting, more calibrated with our approach. And these things, they can take some time to build, but they do have a compound effect, every little thing, on the conversion rate. So that's something to look at. When you build a site, how are you actually going to get traffic to your site? So you want to make sure that you've included good SEO heuristics in building this website. You've put in your keywords, you've optimized your titles. So when people are on these search engines and Google and Yahoo and Bing and whatever, and they're searching for a photo app or a laundry service or whatever your company might do, that you're going to rank good in these organic listings. Now, SEO is not something that we're experts on. It's far beyond the scope of this video, but we'd actually recommend that you check out similar videos by Rand Fishkin and Moz. We actually model everything that we do here in Pulsate Academy off of Moz, and they are the leading authority on SEO. So go check those guys out if you want more ideas on how to SEO your website and how to optimize it organically. You've also got these existing channels that you don't want to overlook in terms of user acquisition. So we did talk about building a website, but maybe if you're not a mobile first company, you could be a retailer or something like that, and you already have quite a significant .com property, you're going to want to leverage this, and you're going to want to use this to get users onto your app and to acquire more users into that experience. So you could be on the .com e-commerce site and you want to slide in an ad. You detect the mobile user agent, they're on an iPhone. Okay, so we slide in an ad and we recommend that they download our app for an even better experience. It can be quite subtle, so it's kind of like, psst, over here, download our mobile app as well. This is available. Don't forget to use your email list as well. So when your app has launched or when you have a major update, go out, email everyone and let them know that they can get a new copy of your app or they can get the app in the first place. You've got SMS as well. If you have the mobile phone numbers of your base, sending out a download link. You probably only want to do this once or for major updates of your app and say, hey, we've launched a new app. You can check it out. You can download it here using the following link. If you are a brick and mortar business, I use the example of retail. Don't forget, come on, put up some signs, recommend people download the app inside the store, train your staff to recommend the app and help customers to download it and help them get activated and onboarded on that app as well. Now, a big mistake would be to rely on these existing channels, too much. All of these things, they help. But the existing channels, they're not going to be like this engine of growth for you. They're going to make a valid contribution, but don't focus on any one of these channels, especially not your existing ones. We want to be building here, not maintaining, guys. Publicity. So yeah, we often get asked, should I do a press release because I've launched a new app? Think about this for a second. Well, the answer is maybe you should do a press release, but new app launches isn't really a great story. So you want to have something new or newsworthy to say. Maybe you're solving a problem that hasn't been solved before. You have some innovative new features within your app. Then it's okay to do a press release if you're adding value and producing content. And you can use like PR Newswire, or there's a couple of services like PR Web. You can pay them a couple of $100 and they'll help seed out that press release to help you guys get noticed. Of course, there are other channels as well, such as Pinterest and YouTube as well. So you can create a video demo of your app. You could create an ad and put that on YouTube. And all of these things that you do are going to have this compound effect of helping your business, your app to be discovered. Chances are, if you're watching me in this video, you found us on YouTube. So it can be a good acquisition source. Social media, yes, in terms of coming up with content that is valuable for your audience and people would be looking for on Twitter or Facebook, I'd recommend that you spend, one day a week or half a day a week coming up with all of your content, batch your efforts into one day. So you're not trying to do this every day. You come up with your content, you get your plan together, and use a tool like maybe Buffer or something like that. So you're spreading your posts evenly across the week. You want to be doing this a couple of times a day with the right hashtags to try and get followers who eventually will discover your social media accounts and then eventually by proxy find your app and download your app. But again, I wouldn't see this in the beginning as a major engine of growth. Referrals can be something that will deliver a significant amount of acquisitions. However, I'm not really going to talk about referrals in this video today because we've reserved, remember, we're doing pirate metrics here, guys. We have the acquisition, activation, retention, referral. So referral is going to, and revenue, and referral is going to come a little bit later. We have a whole dedicated video on this. This is hugely valuable, but I'm just going to skip over this for today if that's all right. And then we have mobile advertising, which is basically paying on various platforms to have an ad show up for your app, and you're then advertising that to your ideal customer profile where these people are hanging out. This is the main engine of growth for your acquisition strategy. But you do need to experiment. Don't focus on any one of these and think that they're going to be enough. And remember, this doesn't need to be like hugely expensive. You can spend, spend a little bit of money on various platforms. You can hire a social media manager on Elance. You can get a website built very cost effectively these days. You can hire an SEO. It's really not expensive. So in the early days, experiment, do this in experiments in multiple channels. Don't be afraid to try them all. And we're going to teach you in a little bit how to measure these results. So mobile advertising, yes, as I said, it's going to be the main engine of growth for your app. There are various ways of doing it, from social to search to networks and even incentive-based advertising as well. So in terms of social mobile advertising, you've got like Twitter, you've got Facebook. Facebook is extremely effective for acquiring new users. Can be a little bit pricey sometimes. You want to really understand what your costs are versus the amount that user is actually worth to you as a customer. We're going to get to that. with 1 billion active users and these ads showing up in the mobile news feeds of customers, very granular targeting, seeing apps that are relevant to them, and then being able to install directly from the feed, very good tracking and attribution. You know exactly what creative triggered that install. Very, very effective. Twitter as well, obviously not quite the same reach as Facebook, but still a viable alternative, or maybe you want to try both of these at the same time. You really have to experiment. Every app is different. I don't know what business you're in. You're going to have to try a variety of these. You're going to have to try a variety of mobile ad platforms. Once you have the correct tracking in place, you're going to understand what works for your business and what doesn't. So social can be very, very effective. You want to consider search as well. So you've got Google and Yahoo and Bing and maybe Yandex if you're in Russia, or Baidu. And you can, in the same way that we built a website for our app and then we tried to deliver traffic to it organically by SEOing our site, well, you can also bid for ads against certain keywords that you think your ideal customers might be searching for. So your ad pops up in a paid placement that's going to go on top of the organics. And if people click this, they're going to go through to your website and can then install your app directly from there. Again, you want to be tracking what this costs. It can be quite expensive, but we would recommend that you experiment with a range of social and search as well. You have some of the more traditional networks like AdMob, which Google acquired back in 2010, I think it was. We've got the InMobies of this world, Millennial Media, and you can go out to these platforms, you can do banner ads and other apps. They have a variety of formats. And one of the cool things about AdMob is you can actually do a target customer acquisition cost. So you can say, look, I'm not willing to spend any more than X to acquire a customer. They'll run ads within that target range. And that means that you're not spending more than what you want or what you need to spend. These are still very relevant, but I feel are becoming antiquated in ways. If I was launching an app, I would be heavily investing in Facebook ads while doing some experimentation with the more traditional platforms like AdMob and maybe Millennial. Does depend on your business, as I've said before, your unique circumstances, your audience, etc., etc. So we've talked about the available channels that you have and platforms, but it's important to know that these aren't really created equal. Not that, let's say, social is better than search or vice versa. It's really going to depend on your own circumstance, your app, and your business. When I say they're not equal, I mean in their ability for you to drive downloads, engagement, and profits within your mobile app, because everything is going to be different based on your circumstance. So what we want when we're experimenting with these channels is some high-level metrics of really understanding what's working for us and what's not, so we can cross it off and reinvest in channels that do acquire users in a profitable and sustainable way. So the first metric is CAC, or customer acquisition cost, which is the actual cost in euros or in dollars that it costs to acquire that user versus their lifetime value, or LTV. So when we understand what we've actually paid to get that user to download our app and activate in our app versus what that customer is worth to us over a period of time, and lifetime value tracks a combination of the value over the year of what that customer is going to spend multiplied by the number of years that you think that customer is going to stick around in your app and in your business. So now that we understand customer acquisition cost and what it's going to take to bring people in, and we understand what they're going to spend with us over the period, their lifetime as a customer, we can easily see if we have this viable business or not. So for example, if we're going to pay maybe $2 on Facebook to acquire and install, and immediately they're paying like $9.99 on the App Store to download that app, well then straight away, that's a very profitable business. We're off to a great start. But on some of the more competitive terms, maybe it's going to cost you $5 to acquire a particular user, and you're not charging anything upfront for the app. In fact, you're counting on micro purchases made over a year that might be 99 cents each, and you're hoping that they're going to make a couple of them to either equal to or be greater than your acquisition cost. Well, then you're kind of in hazy territory, and you want to be very careful what you're spending, because you may not actually have a profitable business there. So you always want to acquire users that give you the best LTV, the best lifetime value for the lowest customer acquisition cost. And that's generally what we aspire to have. You also need to understand, well, what do you consider required? We did a video, our previous video in the mobile metric series. We showed you in a funnel how to event tag your app. A user downloading your app, you don't really consider them acquired until they maybe open up your app, tap a couple of buttons, stay more than 10 seconds. That's going to be unique to you. So I'll let you work that one out yourself. Look at our funnel metrics video, event tag the correct things so you know who's been acquired, you know at what cost, and you know what they are worth to you over their lifetime. So that's how we would track at a high level. In terms of how we do attribution and how you know where users have come from, a lot of people are tracking installs, and that means that you have a field in your database. So against each user, you have attribution source. So you know whether it came from a Facebook ad or a Twitter ad or from search or from organic. And then what channels are actually delivering users to me. But it's important to also track not only attribution in terms of install, but also which sources give you the most activity and the most profits and the most engaged and valuable customers. Because really installs are one thing, but actual revenue is another. So you might see that search is actually delivering the majority of the downloads, but Facebook is really creating the profitable users and the engaged users. So with that information, we can rinse and repeat, we can take this back into our strategy, and we can cross out the channels that are no longer working for us, that no longer serve us, and we can reinvest our cash in the channels that do contribute to profitable and sustainable user growth. In terms of how this works, Google, in terms of search, will place a cookie on your web browser, and then if you visit a website and sign up, it's very easy to track. Mobile attribution works in a slightly different way in that we use fingerprinting. So if you click on a Facebook ad, a fingerprint for that device is generated based on a complex array of those device settings. Later on, we have some code inside our app. This code generates a similar fingerprint, or in fact the exact same fingerprint, based on the same array of variables that are on board that device, on board that phone. And we compare those fingerprints with the ad serving fingerprints of the people that clicked on the ad, and we collide them, and we know that that ad basically then triggered that install of that user, and that's how we do fingerprinting. Don't want to really get too technical on this one. That's how it's done. There are a variety of tools out there that do this for you, including Pulsate, which make your life a little bit easier. So again, won't go into too much technical detail. And that's primarily acquisition, how you do it. We've talked about the channels, all of the ones that you would consider investing in the cheaper ones, the ones that are quite organic, right down into mobile advertising, wanting you to experiment with multiple channels. Facebook probably being, for now, something that you should focus on, but with small budgets, trying across these things while being very calculated on your customer acquisition cost versus your lifetime value, rinsing and repeating, following your attribution. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that I've given you some value information on how you can acquire brand new users into your app. Next week, I'm going to talk to you about activation. So after you get users, how do you get them to stick around in your app and actually do something meaningful with you, maybe a transaction, and we're going to be covering that in detail. So that's it for today. Please leave a comment below the video. If you have any questions at all, you can send us a tweet at PulsateHQ. Don't forget to subscribe to the Academy as well if you haven't done so already. Never miss an episode. I'm Patrick Letty. See you guys next time. How we can do user acquisition in a way that is profitable and a way that is sustainable. Yeah, I was going to say sustainable. And it's important to know that these aren't really all created equal. Not that they're better than one another or worse than one another. No, I can't. What am I meant to say here? It doesn't make any sense.